think that's the third time they've asked for it to be
Thank you.
reset.
All right, we now have a quorum. I apologize for the delay of 5 minutes. I believe Mr. Art is on his way. We'll go ahead and, the quote for this evening, "Experience is a hard teacher because she gives the test first, the lessons afterward." I'd like to also say congratulations to Councilwoman Christy Hill and her husband Tim. They have a bouncing baby boy, Timothy Lawrence. So,
I told you Chuck wouldn't be here.
oh. Approval of May 2020 bills. Any questions? Okay. Resolutions. Resolution 2134. Approve HIDTA grant. Alan.
Yes, ma'am. This is our HIDA grant that we get each year from the state to pay for one officer to participate in the STAC team with the Drug Task Force in Huntsville. This will pay for all of their, well, it pays for their overtime as they participate in that.
Do we have any, I'm sorry,
No, I was just going to ask, there's no match.
we don't have any contribution in that at all, do we, Alan?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well,
Did-
I mean,
did you
there
say-
is one officer that's dedicated to that. So, I mean, the city pays for his 80-hour salary. Any overtime is paid for the grant.
Did you indicate whether or not this was shared with any other agency?
There is other agencies that are involved. The
But-
hours
but
is
not for our amount of money.
specifically, hours is specifically for the city.
Okay.
Now, there's, Huntsville is Madison County. I think Morgan County still, I think they have one. I would not swear to that, but I believe.
Because I knew there was some that we get pieces and they get pieces.
Yeah, but this one is specifically for us, and we do, I mean, the officer's dedicated to that STAC team, so the city pays his 80 hours, and then this is for overtime that's associated with that.
And this is actually accepting,
Yes, sir.
not applying for it, but
No,
accepting.
sir, it's
And so
accepted.
we would have to get the numbers from Chief to actually see the impact that STAC has on our community, and if we'd be better off having that officer in our forces versus in the
Yes,
STAC.
Chief would have to answer that.
That's good. We'll do that.
Would you like for me to, Chief Allen, are you on the line?
I am. I just got on.
Okay, Mr. Jackson had a question about.
I just-
Okay.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I was just
I
going to.
just want to know the impact that the STAC officer, that we're accepting this HIDA grant for, even though it's no impact on our budget. I'd like to know what actually, I'll use the impact again, the impact that officer has on our community. There's only one in that unit, and I'm just trying to see, would we be more beneficial having that person here in this community and as an officer who's working in our community rather than being in the STAC unit in Huntsville?
Due to confidential information about the STAC unit, can I speak with you about that offline, please?
All right, that's fine. Then I'd love to speak offline, and because I'd like to know more about it, if we'd be better off having that person here in our system rather than across doing something else.
What I can tell you about it, and keeping in the confidentiality of the unit, is that that officer works in conjunction with several other agencies throughout North Alabama, which help us curtail drug crime. We have a drug crime unit in the Decatur Police Department that handles, say, smaller drug cases, but when a drug case go across county and or state lines, then we transfer it over to the STAC team, which has jurisdiction to go across state lines and anywhere within the state. So it's much bigger than just us here. We all know that most of the drugs aren't grown here in Decatur, Alabama, but they are shipped in here. So we want to have someone who actually can handle the big drug cases, and that's what the STAC team does, the HIDA Task Force team does.
I guess, and I'm fully aware, I won't say I'm fully aware, I'm aware of what they do. I guess it kind of boils down to, and again, we'll have a conversation away from here, but it boils down to whether that person's going to be more impactful as another uniformed officer in our city, or is it going to be more impactful there? And again, we'll have that conversation, and we can go from there.
Yes, sir. And just so you know, the one officer we supply with the one officers from several other agencies, that creates the team. And the team, it really relies on help from other police departments like ours. That's what really helps us to solve some cases. And I have some confidential information about what the team does and how they are able to track people that I would love to have that conversation with you about.
Okay. I don't necessarily want the confidential information, but I do want to have that discussion with you about the other aspects of it.
Yes, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Any other questions? Okay. Resolution 2135, approve ALDOT agreement for maintenance of new sidewalks. Carl?
Yes, this is the McDonald's on 6th Avenue is doing improvements, and I guess they're replacing the sidewalk along 6th Avenue, some of that. And AlDOT's asked them for us to have this maintenance agreement, similar to we did with the traffic signals at the Speedway, I guess out on Highway 20. That's basically what it is. It's a maintenance agreement for the McDonald's folks to get their state permit to do that work.
Carl, it sounds like there's work that has to be performed. This is not contingent upon work that may have to be done, but work that we may already know what the cost is?
I don't know. I mean, we're not paying for the work. This is work that McDonald's is doing, so I could estimate based on our cost, but the city's not paying for this work to be done.
So the state's just telling us that we have to maintain the state standards through us to McDonald's?
Correct.
All right, very good, thank you.
Carl, if we may, could we in that agreement also, since McDonald's is doing the improvement, that they would long-term be in charge of that? It would not be the city's responsibility after that? Is that, I mean, I'm assuming that's part of that?
It could be. I reached out to Joe to sort of ask some of those questions because I had a feeling that might come up with this one. And he did not get back with me today, so I'll call him back tomorrow and see what he says. Because I don't think we, the city, want to start maintaining improvements within the state right-of-ways, little pieces at a time.
I totally agree. If you could find that out, that'd be great.
Very good.
Any other questions? Resolution 2136 declares surplus of municipal vehicles no longer needed by the Street Environmental Services. Becky, good to see your face.
I've missed y'all. Yeah, this is surplusing for Street Environmental Services. It's some clearing out that they want to do, and we have 3 vehicles and a forklift and also a tire changer.
Do you know if this is to help make room for new equipment or to get covered
Ricky,
other
I
equipment?
did talk to Ricky today, and he said that he would be on the line if we had any questions.
All right, Ricky, great. Is this to make room for things to otherwise that we use now be protected, or room for new equipment?
Well, that's kind of it. If I could step to it real quick, actually, the first one is not a dump truck, it's a garbage truck that's been a misprint. So it's a 2006, the engine's gone with it. The 2005 International 7400 truck, the engine's gone with it. That's about an $18,000 repair for a 2005 model truck. The 1996 Ford F-Series is a loader truck. The 1996 part's kind of self-explanatory. It's way in its age. It needs to go. The 1993 Hyster, the council has graciously replaced that a while back. That is not a safe machine to work, to operate no more under today's conditions. And the 2006 Hoffman tire changer machine, we took that out of service a long time ago before I even came to Street Environmental Services, because we had some employees hurt real bad with that machine. We don't have qualified people to run the machine. We have a contract with McCleary Tires, and they come on site and fix all of our tires. So that's just cleaning out and getting rid of a lot of old, inoperable stuff.
So it's making room for things that we do use, is that correct?
It is. It's cleaning the yard up.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Resolution 2137, adopt Parks and Recreation organizational restructuring. Mr. Lake, good to see your face too.
I missed y'all too. Thank you, council. This is a reorganization that will make us a little more efficient. We will save a little bit of money. That was not the goal going in. The goal going in was to fill some gaps that we had organizationally. And we can go through, I didn't know if y'all had that as part of your packet or not. I brought some extras with me I can give to you if you need me to. But
I think it's part of the packet, but
Good.
if you go ahead and explain it, that'd be great.
Well, more or less what it's doing is the assistant director's position along with the facilities job. Those jobs are being done away with. We're taking some positions that are more entry-level positions also and changing those into, there'll be 5 positions in park and rec maintenance that will be assistant supervisor type positions. Those are the 3s that they'll be put in there. No, you're good. But these are just opportunities for people in the organization to be able to step into those supervisor positions and the training that will go into them. They'll act as leads, so they'll get supervisor experience, and they'll kind of pick a track, if it's spraying or if it's whatever that is, the tree crew. The other thing is with the group sales position. We had, of course, been doing that through a temp agency. That position is something that we really need to push sales. This person would do after-hours parties for Point Mallard, day parties. It can also work with the CVB, who we've got a great relationship with. But as far as bringing ball tournaments and things like that in, we need a contact person for us as well that's working with them to make sure everybody's on the same page, getting things right. And it'll also be an assistant person. As far as administration, office stuff, is we have so many offices. And what can happen is sometimes, one of them will be using this software, another one will be, but they're not uniform. And then it's hard to do training because you're doing this type, this group needs this type, this group needs this type. We can make it more uniform, put everybody on the same systems and make it to where you can take one person from one place and they can back up somebody from somewhere else. And we'll be able to do that across different areas.
I've got one question for you. You've got a matrix organization with the operations and the contracts and administration. By that I mean you've got them where they report to both people.
Correct.
Why?
They're different aspects of the job. Is when we started, we've had this conversation several times, is Parks and Recreation didn't used to work off mowing contracts. We used to do our own mowing. We didn't used to do, there's lots of things now that we do on contracts that we didn't used to, but we didn't change the way that, when you talk about this, you're exactly right, take me back to school again, so I'm going to flashback. But if we need somebody that's looking over those contracts, administratively looking at what makes sense money-wise, one way or the other, does it make sense to do a contract? Do we need to be mowing it? Whose responsibility is it? One of the conversations I've been having lately is about planning. Is how do we work with planning on what is a right-of-way, working with TVA, the county, other places like that. And then you need somebody out going crew to crew to make sure stuff's getting done. Those are both jobs that are pertinent to that department, but they're 2 totally different things with different skill sets. So it makes sense to have those 2 people who are in charge, but they're in charge of 2 totally different things that are well-defined.
Why wouldn't you have the contracts person report to the operations?
To the operations person? That'd be creating another position.
No, it's just moved, instead of having a contracts and administration superintendent and a park of operations superintendent, why wouldn't the contract person, why wouldn't one person have all the park operations, and under that, you have the contracts, the administration, and that person's responsible that way. What I'm worried about is you've got contracts and operations, they're all working for the same people. If they're not on the same page, this person's going to say, I need you to do this person's going to say, I need you to do that.
We have weekly meetings that we go through, and we'll go through all those things where it's going to be well-defined, which it already is because we're already pretty much doing that. But to get out of that situation, because here's the other thing, we need other people to know this. I need, whoever's doing, centers and stuff, David Wisdom's old position that Kelly Sims is interim in right now, they need that information too. Because when somebody asks them about it, if you come and say, hey, what's going on here, it shouldn't just be those two people know. She should know also, so she can let her people know what's going on, so they're able to.
Well, it doesn't say that position can't exist. I'm just wondering why you need two superintendents. Why can't you have a supervisor or something that allows that operations superintendent to be in charge of everything operations-wise? Because that's what they're doing.
Well, but I don't think, are you talking about who they answer to?
Yeah, to me, I think you've got.
So you want somebody in between them and me?
No. You would have your operations superintendent, and then you've got your 17, 18, 19. You've got maintenance that reports to a few of them. Why not have that contracts and administration reporting to the operations superintendent? So
I
that
see
they're
what you're
in charge.
saying.
It-
I see
To
what
me,
you're-
it's just creating confusion because they're gonna get direction from two people. And both of them, if they get out of sync, you're gonna have a real problem.
We need to look at that
Let's
together.
talk.
Yeah, because here's the thing, I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't want to answer a question that I'm not exactly sure that's what you're saying. So
Jason, let me ask this. Didn't I understand this already went past the personnel board?
It did, twice.
And I'm guessing whatever questions that Chuck is in the middle of there really needs to be before that board, as far as whether or not this will be approved.
We went over that information. Like I say, it went through two different times. Like I say, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is one of the first things they looked at when they saw it was they said, well, this is much cleaner. And that was the goal. And it's exactly for what Chuck's saying is, you don't want too many barriers, and you don't want too many people getting information that is either not exactly what they're needing or they're not getting what they need. So, and in some instances that we've had some of that.
We'll talk.
Good. No, I'm good with it.
And I have two questions, real quick. The CVB is with a contract, and then Point Mallard is an enterprise account. I asked you today if you could share those numbers with us. I think all councils need to know, going forward, what percentage is going where? Where is the most attention going? Is it to Point Mallard parties, which then goes to the enterprise account, not coming to general fund? And then also CVB is a contract. I think we need to make sure both of those are equal, or at least not lopsided.
I think looking at it through the view of the CVB is probably not relevant right now. I think what the way I would look at it would be what you said at the beginning would be Point Mallard Park and Rec. And as far as what duties it would be, those aren't really going to change. We've been doing this job now, that job it was a full-time position for a lot of years that was just Point Mallard. They missed that part in Park and Rec. Jeff saw that, and what Jeff did was brought in a temp that worked both. And what he did is things like when you go around the parks right now and you look at all the signage is the same, the look of the buildings are the same. Those are things that he tried to run through those folks to make sure it did stay the same and make sure they were a part of those meetings, to make sure they were uniformity. And that's where you get into some of the marketing, branding, those types of things.
And again, I think that would be helpful for determination with budgeting if this passes for the next year. Do we need, what do we need to tweak it? Is it working well? But I think those numbers should be made public to the council and others, so we kind of get a better grasp of what we're doing.
Now, tell me again what number it is.
Well, you're saying they're going to help the CVB with bringing in baseball and tournaments.
Sure.
But
No,
also-
we could, right. No,
But
I
also on
remember
the other
this,
side, they're bringing in after our parties to Point Mallard. I
Right.
think we need to look at those, what they're bringing
Right.
in, and seeing that position justifies. Do you
No, and I have some of that, and I can actually send that to y'all this week if you want me to.
Thank you. And then my last question, Rochelle, are you on the line?
I am.
I'm assuming this plan, and Jason said there was some sort of a savings, not much, but that wasn't the intent. I'm assuming this went to finance to get approval, that everyone's numbers checked out with the checks and balances there?
We've not put the numbers in yet.
Mr. Lake, did you not give me a number today?
We did the number that, when we were going through, we know what the levels are that we're asking for compared to what they were, and what the pays currently are compared to what they will be. That, if you look at it, would be about a $19,000 savings. Now.
So you have done numbers?
I
Preliminary?
have, right.
I don't think it would hurt to run them through finance.
No, I don't.
No, I totally agree, and
No.
that's what I'm asking. If they haven't, I would like to see that.
And that's
checks
what
balances.
Michelle's say, I think she's saying is once whichever way it goes, is for budgetary reasons, that's one of the things we've been doing, is once they get that information, it'll go through and they'll get a real number on it.
But should we not, in my opinion, should that not go through finance before we vote on it? I mean, of course.
I think they
No.
need to verify that it's not costing.
And we can make sure John gets that information this week.
Yeah, and if we need to delay the vote, we certainly can, but I think that's imperative to looking at making sure the plan all
Well,
works together.
And one thing I want you to know is, I didn't want to bring this with, you know, everything going on. One of the things is, we are so far behind on hiring right now, that I thought it was at least important to get the structure in, and
I
then
think it's
we'll.
very important. We've
Right.
got to run the city, and we've got to run all the departments with that. So
Right.
it's very, very important.
Right. I just didn't want you to think I was.
No, and I agree with you, but I agree with Chuck as well. It has to go through finance. We have got to double check these numbers.
No, I'm good with it.
You and Michelle feel comfortable getting together on that, and if there's any questions between y'all, contact everybody else, I
Sure,
guess.
that'd be great.
Thank you, Jason. Any other questions? All right, ordinance number 204411, annexation 36020, Wilshire Development, Alabama LLC, approximately 4.63 acres off Central Avenue Southwest. Reading held on 6/1/20. Any questions? Planning, do we have anything there?
No, ma'am, nothing to add.
Okay. No questions from council? Ordinance number 204412, amend Code of Decatur, Alabama, Section 2-61, settlement of claims, first reading on 6/1/20. Herman?
I feel like somewhat like Rodney Dangerfield. I was supposed to have a passport so I could get on WebEx. I didn't get it, so now, so. I wanted to make a suggested amendment to this ordinance. And this would involve, so we can stay on track, a double vote next Monday to amend. All I'm asking is to clarify that if it's handled by our insurance carrier, including our workers' comp provider, the mayor really, staff really ought to get input. They don't, the final determination is made by insurance. So to clarify it, it says as necessary. We would add the language that says anything that's negotiated and processed by our insurance carrier would not have a limit on what could be settled for. Because that's the insurance business. It's our money up to the point.
Yeah.
But basically, what I'm saying is the staff and the mayor can have input, but the final decision of how it gets settled is the insurance carrier. And that's the way it's not going to change that. That's the way it's been. The other part of the 25,000 is certainly very reasonable, if that's not the council.
You and I had this conversation, Herman, and my concern is that if we don't get unanimous consent for immediate consideration, then we're stalled again. We've got to wait another. It's like introducing
Well,
it
that's
again.
why I wanted to talk about it and get some idea tonight. That's one of the reasons for.
One question, Herman, that I asked you after last week was, taking this into account, how many things would be brought to council from the last 4 years? And you were
The
going to put
answer is there would be none of these would be brought to council because they're all handled by insurance.
That's what I thought.
Herman, let me ask this. Say an incident happens tomorrow, results in a lawsuit claim against the city, and let's say the insurance company recommends $1 million settlement. That's conceivably going to affect the premium they're going to charge, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but you need to understand, the insurance company is responsible. They are licensed insurance people, and they determine the amount. Yes, it would, but every year we get to decide.
You're right.
But see, that's the insurance money, so.
But see,
So you're saying you get that control once a year when you pick a new insurance
Right.
company?
The insurance company's gonna be responsible for the vast majority of that. So
Right.
I don't see the insurance company selling it for something, that's, because it becomes their money they're having to spend.
Herman, our deductible's 100,000, right?
No,
Or whatever our deductible is, that's what the city's gonna pay. The insurance company's gonna have to pay the other.
that's right.
So if they're gonna recommend $1 million, they're gonna get at least 900,000 of it. So our portion would be that the only thing
It would be like our deductible on our personal cars or house, whatever that is, we would pay that.
All right, but the bottom line is you've answered, we have some kind of control on that because annually you pick an
Well,
insurance
that
company.
is self-preservation by the insurance carrier, because they're not gonna sell for more than they think is appropriate.
I understand. Now, the other question I have is this amount, which it's printed in the resolution at 25,000. Would that be proper per claim or per incident?
It's per individual.
So let's say an individual has 10 incidences that he's contesting.
So only can be, they have 10, but it's one
One
person
claim.
per person.
Okay.
I personally have no problem excluding the insurance. If we do that, I'm fine with immediate consideration.
And here's what I'd like to see, if we're gonna do it, and you and I have had this conversation, if we're gonna do immediate consideration, just so that it's not put off for another couple of weeks, if the immediate consideration does not pass, I'd like to move on with the original ordinance, and then 2 weeks from now, we come back and we amend it to do that if we have
That's
to.
fine, that's not what you're talking about. But
Okay.
It's a way to keep from,
If
I
it
don't
is-
mind doing two, it makes no,
Yeah.
economy of economics would indicate that if you go ahead and get it accomplished next Monday, you do it. If you can't, then yes, I understand that.
If it passes immediate consideration, I don't have a problem with that, but if it does not, I would like to go with the original motion that we have and then deal with that.
My intent was not to delay it, my intent was to
understand.
make it, so we don't have to do it once.
I support that.
Thank
Charles,
y'all.
are you okay with that? One quick question, I know that had come up, Herman. I think the council should be made aware of these settlements. I think that is only fair, and we talked about that.
Well,
that-
if we have like, I'm not, that's fine, but if you got like you have a car accident and we pay for the car and settle it, that's okay, we'll let you know.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a couple of meetings ago, that that's,
If we break her, I'm not trying to be facetious, if we break out a windshield, we pay $400.
I doubt we're worried about $400. I think we're worried about bigger figures.
I don't think it'd be hard to pull that, it shouldn't be that hard to pull at the end of the month, what we've paid out, yeah, so,
You're
yeah.
just how much of those you want to know about.
Yeah, well, I think Ms. Hill had the recommendation, I support it, I think that's a very good thing, because until last year when Ms. Hill and I had that conversation with our insurance agent, I think we were all oblivious to what we were covered, and still are to a certain extent, which is unfortunate, but,
Please help me understand, what level do y'all want to know? Because if we damage somebody's fence, we pay them $300.
Well, that's what I had in my mind, that we've had issues in the past with, say, our garbage pickup trucks having a fence claim or something like that. And I don't know that we're concerned about a $1,000 claim here and there, but, you know, if we have, say, $10,000 claims, of course, a year, then we're getting in the area of concern.
Well, that's fine, I just want to get some idea.
I mean-
You can know about all of them you want to know about.
I mean, I don't see why there couldn't just be a printout at the end of the month to show what happened in the previous, in the month, so. Again, and if there's just a total number, it's a push of a button on a computer and you get that total number, and that's the way I see it. It doesn't matter if it's a dollar.
Worst case scenario, they'd have to create an accounting code for that.
If it's a dollar, though.
I'm just trying to find out what y'all want to know.
But I guess, Charles, if it's a dollar, at the end of the month, you push a button and it gives you a total. And
But the only way you can track that is if it has an accounting code website.
Yeah, and
It
that
does
shouldn't be
have
difficult.
one. It will
Yeah,
have.
that shouldn't be difficult.
But no, I just want to make sure what y'all were asking for.
I think it would be more difficult for you to take out a number-wise than just give us everything that was done that last month. I mean, personally, I think that, I agree. It should be
Like
easy.
Well,
Yeah.
bit like the check
if
register.
you want to know that we paid John Q. Public $300 to repair their fence,
Yes.
That becomes a public record. That's okay.
It's the public's money that's paying for it.
I just want to make sure that I don't want to overwhelm you or underwhelm you, so.
Well, we're not asking to approve them, we're asking to see them.
I understand. That's fine.
Are we all on the same page at that
I
point?
just wanted to know what you wanted to see. Yeah, okay, sure.
It's public money, I think
That's
it's
fine with
important.
me.
Okay.
Bring it up here.
All right, very good. Let's see, anything else from council? I think that's all we have on this agenda. Nothing from council. Anything from directors?
Rochelle here. I have the updated package for the fire chief candidate pool. Did not get it to your mailboxes today, but I'll pop downstairs on your way out and hand you your package before this meeting is over. We did get an additional 10 candidates that applied during that refresh period. We had 4 candidates withdraw their interest because they had accepted opportunities with our other agencies. So we have about 15 candidates up from the original 11 that seem to be highly qualified for this position. So I'm going to get these packages down to you so you can review the recommendations. We have the 2 other department head openings, Director of Development and Director of DYS. Understood from last Monday night you wanted to have some additional discussion about the department or the Director of Development versus additional department director positions. If that's the path the council wants to take, then we are going to have to develop some director level job classifications for those roles. So my recommendation is for tonight, it takes quite a bit of resources, time, and energy to fill these department head vacancies. I would recommend that we focus on the fire chief opportunity and fill that position as soon as possible.
Let me ask you something. When you pop down and give us this list, it's going to be the entire list or the list of the recommended?
It will be an updated recommended cover, an updated spreadsheet, and just copies of the newly received resumes. You should still have your prior set.
You're assuming that, yeah. Well, I'm probably going to need to get it redone because I don't even know.
Full pack. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rochelle. Any other questions? Thank you. Any other directors? Mayor?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, very good. Without anything else, thank you for being here. We'll see you Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you all.
Thank you.